let's just see. So you have anybody who?
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'll be beside. I can
Okay.
read the comment.
Okay.
Where this screen just went. So how is six? All good?
Yeah. Yeah. So this there are lots of changes, right?
Mhm.
Lots of changes. Some of them are just being announced, and the biggest one is obviously the family reunion.
But what's been on the family reunion?
Well, technically, you cannot apply for family reunion for free anymore, right? No, you can't. Yeah, family reunion.
اسمعوا الكلام ده طبعا. انا ما قلت لكم كلمتكم قلت لكم كبسوا في الشاشه دي يا شباب عشان المعلومه دي الناس تصلها. الليله يا ناصر موعدنا مع المحامي على اساس انه القوانين الجديده اللي اتغيرت دي شنو، عشان الكلام ما يبقى كلام جرمنديه ساكت وكلام بتاع ناس عاشقين، يكون من بيت الكلاوي. من عشان كده انا جيت للمحامي، ودي المره الثانيه اجي له للناس المتابعيني والناس الاخواني اللي بيحبوني قاعدين هنا، وكل الشباب الاندر ايج عندهم تساؤلات في راسهم وما لاقي الا اجابات. فانا قلت اجي لمحامي عديل على اساس انه المحامي يجاوب لنا على الاسئله دي خلاص، لانه في بعض الحاجات يا اخواننا نحن بنفتكرها ساكت ونتكلم كلام سودانيين، دائما بنحبوا ناس السودانيين دي. فاحسن انا بكلفني حاجه اجي لمحامي واساله من حاجات تكون واضحه بالنسبه للناس عشان الناس تكون عارفينها، عشان ما يقول لك والله انا سمعتها من فلان وسمعتها من علان. وهسه انا بتونس معه بس سلمت عليه ساكت، بس يعني سلمت عليه ساكت كده، قلت له انت كيفك والاخبار شنو؟ قال لي يا اخي والله من اصعب الحاجات اللي عملوها الناس دي، قال لي موضوع لما الشمل ده. كيف يعني؟ قال لي ما في سلطان بيقدر يقدم لي لما الشمل مجان.
I can briefly summarize what happened actually. So they closed the route for family reunion, right? So the law has been for many years that if you come in this country as a refugee and you claim asylum, you're granted your refugee status, then you can bring your pre-flight family. That is, if you had a wife that you left behind or children you left behind, you're granted your refugee status and then they can join you on the family reunion. That was free of charge, right? So now, from September already, they closed that completely.
Yep, I remember that.
And the refugee
can close it, or they
suspended it, right?
Yes.
But basically, suspension means that you can't apply anymore.
Yep.
Right? So people who managed to put their applications before,
mm-hmm.
I think it was 4th of September this year.
Yep.
Then the applications are being still processed for free. But now, if you want to apply, you have to go under appendix family member, which is general immigration rules, which means that you need to demonstrate that you have sufficient income, which is 29,000.
So it will be a sponsorship then?
It will be like a normal sponsorship. So family reunion has closed, right? The same has happened actually.
But why you like to say close, not suspend?
Well, suspend.
What makes you believe it's closed?
Well, they are not going to revamp or reintroduce it. I don't see until. At the moment, there is no application. They've canceled the application. It's physically not possible to apply, right? Who knows? But technically, legally speaking, this measure is in breach of the Refugee Convention, because the Refugee Convention itself and the United Kingdom as a party to the Refugee Convention, it requires the states to facilitate family reunion for those who have been granted refugee status, right? So they're basically breaching the Refugee Convention, which is part of the international law, and they are signatory to the treaty, right? However, in the UK, technically they are not bound by the international law unless it is adopted as a part of the local legislation by an act of parliament, right?
So let me just يا اخوانا، الزول ده اول حاجه بدا، انا طبعا هختصر الكلام بكلامنا السوداني كده. الزول ده بدا باخطر حاجه، انه موضوع الفاميلي ريونيون ده اتعلق، لكن هو بالنسبه له انه اتعلق معناه اتقفل خلاص. فهو بيقول زمان كان الناس بيقدروا لما انت تجي هنا كزول مهاجر اوتوماتيكلي بتاخد مرتك او اولادك بياخدوا الاقامه معاك وبتقدر تقدم لهم ما بتدفع قروش. قال الشارع ده اتقفل وهو ما بنظر فتحته قريب، لانه وانس ما اتقفل وبقى ما موجود معناها في حاجه ثانيه. لكن قال هم كده بيقوموا بيكسروا الاتفاقيه بتاعت الهجره الزمان بتاعت 1956 تحت المهاجرين، انه لو جاء المفروض يجيب اسرته والكلام ده. لكن قال لانه البريطانيين هم الحاجه دي ما عندهم لا قانون، هم عاملين لها ادوبتيشن، يعني ماخدينها من حته تانية. فدي
Now, the second big change now that is affecting a lot of refugees who have been granted refugee status and are, have been granted then settlement as refugees and then want to apply for British citizenship. Now, the issue is that technically, this guidance that the Home Office introduced at the start of this year, it's not part of the British Nationality Act, right? But what they are doing is that they are looking at the circumstances about how you entered the UK, right? So as a refugee, most refugees, obviously, when they arrive in this country, they don't have a visa. Some of them do. Some of them apply for a visa and then they claim asylum on arrival. But probably a good proportion of the refugees, they come or used to arrive in the UK either by lorry or by boat or by any other through the Republic of Ireland, etc. Right? So now when those people apply for citizenship, now the UK has published, the UK Visas and Immigration published the guidance where they are looking at the circumstances of your arrival, right? And your illegal entry into the country. So for most refugees, probably applying for visa is not an option. So they had to come to the UK illegally, right? So now, technically, there is no question in the application at the moment whether you arrive illegally when you apply for naturalization, but you have to kind of anticipate this because they will look at your immigration history, they will look at your previous immigration applications, at your asylum claim, and they will see. So the crucial issues here is that did you apply for asylum as soon as you arrived?
Is that for the citizenship?
Yes, when you apply as soon as it was reasonable for you to make an application.
But right? I've seen a lot of people, they already got the citizenship. They applied. Yeah. Do you remember the last session we did? Lots of people applied and they get the
well, it depends because they don't exercise this in every single case. It really depends. So one issue is that how quickly you claimed asylum when you arrived in the UK. The second issue is that how you traveled to the UK. So they say that if you traveled through a safe country, right, you should have claimed asylum in that other safe country. And then on this basis, it really depends on the caseworker now because this measure is discretionary, right? But I've seen cases where, for example, Somalis, right? Normally from Somalia, you cannot directly, Somalia or Somaliland, you cannot apply directly and travel from Mogadishu by flight to, for example, to London, right? Mm-hmm. All of them would travel through a different country, right? Mm-hmm. So I had one instance where a lady initially went to Kenya and she spent some time in Kenya. And then later on, she paid someone to bring her over here. So she claimed asylum. So they refused her application for British citizenship on the basis that she should have claimed asylum in Kenya. In Kenya. Even though the Kenya did not at the time have a proper system for claiming asylum. And she was restricted and she was not allowed to claim asylum. Right? Because
they refused it.
They refused it still, and we are going to fight this because I think it's unlawful. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to punish already existing refugees, so it serves as a deterrent for future people, who are making the decision to take an illegal entry, take a boat, pay a trafficker, etc. So, but deterrent, it's kind of collective punishment anyway. People who are already here, they've established life, they have family, they've been here for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. All of a sudden, they're being punished to serve as a deterrent for anyone who thinks of coming to the UK in the future.
طيب الزول ده يعني اتكلم برضه في موضوع الجنسية ده وحدد حاجة واحدة، قال إنه الحاجة دي بتتعلق بإنه أنت أول يعني سيف كنتري أو أول حتة أمان أنت دخلتها وين، وضرب لنا إكزامبل بالزولة بتاعته الصومالية دي، قال لأنه هي كانت قاعدة في كينيا وبعد ما قعدت في كينيا شوية يبقى معناها شنو؟ قال الكيس وركر الزول اللي ماسك الكيس بتاعك ده يعني بتبقى بعد ده ما حاجة كده مثلا عشوائية، بينظر لكيسك ده. طبعا انتوا بتتذكروا زمان احنا لما تجي في الانترفيو بيسألوك بيقول لك قعدت في ليبيا كم، قعدت في فرنسا كم، قعدت المدة اللي قعدتها كم، على حسب الحاجات دي بعدين بيعدوا لك الحاجة دي. اوكي. So and did you see the new proposal from
now? So we have a new Home Secretary, right?
Yep.
I think it's Shabana
Mahmoud,
right?
yeah.
So now she gave a speech in the parliament. So the main thing that you can basically, it's a lot of rhetoric, right? And they're basically repeating the policies on the right of the politics, anti-immigrant policies, etc. Right? Now, the main thing that she's thinking of introducing is making it difficult and longer for refugees to settle in the UK, right? So now she wants to create various subcategories depending on the circumstances of each refugee before they can settle, right? So, for example, if a refugee comes in, they claim asylum, that asylum is successful, and they become refugees.
Okay.
At the moment, the law is that once you've been here for 5 years, you have not committed any crime, etc. It basically is granted very quickly, because normally in most of the circumstances, it doesn't happen that the conditions or on the ground in the countries where the refugees came from improve. Usually it's opposite, right? If you look at countries like Somalia, Sudan, Eritrea, Congo, etc., etc. Now, the conditions on the ground do not improve, right? Yeah. The only example is Syria, right? But it's unknown whether it's safe for people to go there, right? But leaving the Syria aside, because most people who were from Syria, the ones who were waiting for decisions or were about to claim asylum or waiting for asylum decisions, when the change of the government occurred, and when the Assad ran away from the country and the new government came in, what they did, they suspended processing.
Yeah, processing the application.
Now, so with going back to the refugee who is granted asylum for 5 years, now what she's trying to do, she's trying to put those refugees into different groups, right?
طيب هي بدأت بتخط اللاجئين ديل في جروبات مختلفة. اتكلم عن انه يا اخي الشيء اللي حاصل في السودان وفي صوماليا وكده في ارض الواقع هسه ما سيف بالنسبة للناس. فهمت؟ فديل ظروفهم بتختلف، عشان كده ده الكلام اللي هسه هو بيقوله. قال الاكزامبل اللي حصل في سوريا ده لحد الان ما في زول يعني مثلا رجعوا، لكن قال وقفوا الابلكيشن بتاعتهم يعني بامل انه مثلا البلد لانها صلحت. فهمتوا؟ لكن ما في حاجه في ارض الواقع. فانا اخليه يوضح لنا الجروبات دي شنو. اوكي، you can continue on the group.
Now, so we have refugees who have different circumstances, obviously, right? So usually at the moment it's 5 years and then you settle. Now, this is only a proposal, remember, this is only a policy. It's not in immigration rules yet.
قال لكم الكلام ده لسه هي ما قوانين، ده بس مجرد اقترحته وزيرة الداخلية. يعني الحاجة دي ما اتطبقت لسه على أي زول بيسأل من الموضوع ده إنه اتطبق. الموضوع ده ما اتطبق، دي مجرد مقترحات قدمتها الزولة دي.
But now she's saying that for some refugees, it will take 20 years to settle. For some, it could be 10 years. For some, 15. And for some, 7 or 8 years. We don't know. But the main criteria that she's talking about is that for people who are not in work, refugees who are on benefits, it's going to take a very long time to settle. And probably 20 years or even longer, if ever. Now, she's also saying that they'll be actively reviewing the status of refugees. So the grant of refugee status is not automatic, but it will be reviewed on case-by-case basis. They would say, okay, well, if it's safe now, you're going to go back, right? Or we'll give you not settlement, but an extension of a refugee status. And we will not allow you to settle unless you are good, right? And what this good means, we don't know yet. Probably if you are working, if you're in business, if you're a good taxpayer, we don't know the criteria.
قال لحد هسه يعني بكلامه ده بيقول انه المجموعات اللي اتقسمت دي في ناس بياخدوا في 10 في 20 في 30. قلنا ده مجرد مقترح للناس اللي لسه دخلوا. فقال يا اخي هي قالت انه يعني لو يعني الإقامة بدل ما تتخذ مثلا كاملة كده مثلا 5 سنين، قال حيدوها للناس 2.5 سنين، وبعد ذاك بيعمل لها ريفيو كيس لكيس. يعني ممكن تكونوا من نفس الدولة من نفس المنطقة، انت كيسك بيختلف من فلان ده ممكن يمددوا لك ل5 سنين. لكن قالت الحاجات دي كلها بتعتمد على شخصية جود، والشخصيه الجود دي قالت ما وضحت للناس شنو يعني. لا قالت انه الناس دي الجود مثلا في شغلهم، جود مثلا في هل الناس بيدفعوا تاكس، هل مثلا كده يعني ما وضحوها لحد هسه. So did they mention anything to do with underage? If somebody come here is an underage, it will be included in those proposal?
For underage it's very unlikely, because technically if you come as a child, you are, first of all, for illegal entry you are not technically responsible for that, because you cannot be held responsible for actions of your parents. Right? It's not, we don't live under Stalin, you know. Now the other thing about this is as far as the illegal entry is concerned. People who are underage and they arrived in underage, we don't know, because you see at the moment there are no rules about it.
ما في قال الزول الغاصر ده ما الزول هو ما عليه القانون، لكن قال لحد هسي ما في زول عارف يعني حتى البروبوزل ده ما واضح. ده زول محامي، خليك مني انا ما فاهم حاجه، ده هو زول محامي قال لك الكلام ده ما واضح، يعني بحر كده بتاع مويه فكوا في الناس. اوكي.
However, for example, let's imagine that the refugee comes and then under the old rules the children came in and joined, right? And this is the family, the wife and children joined the refugee before they claimed indefinite leave to remain, before they applied for indefinite leave to remain. So now, if they, I don't think they will use these rules retrospectively to existing families. Right? It's unlikely.
قال الحاجة ممكن ما بطبقوها في الناس القدام اللي قاعدين already هنا. الحاجة يعني ما حتحصل.
But the children will have alternative options to stay, because in the rules there is appendix private life, which usually allows a child to settle after 5 years in the country, usually since birth, and it's complicated and depends on the circumstances.
The one that they're born here.
Yeah, the ones that are born here.
Not the underage.
And the ones that are underage, the ones that meet half of life, 50% of life test, right? So if a child comes in and they spend more than half of life in this country, and it's 5 years or more, they can apply as well.
يعني أي زول قال عاش حياته هنا نصها، أو الناس الأطفال أو الناس الأندريج ديل قالوا ممكن يقدموا عادي.
So that's what, let's say that there are new rules, right? And this is what they're doing for refugees. And
قال نتخيل إنه في قوانين جديدة
to refugees, and refugees are with children, right? The children themselves will be able to apply under alternative routes for settlement, because so this refugee normally would apply along with the children for settlement, right? But if this is not allowed, and they are saying well, they are on benefits and they have to wait until 10 or 20 years whilst they're in the country, the children will have alternative options to apply themselves under appendix private life of the rules.
يعني قال حتى لو مثلا الناس جو أسرة، مثلا زول جمع أسرته عنده أطفال، وفرضا القوانين دي طبقت للأسرة إنه الزول يا أخي عشان ما شغال وكده، قال الشافعي لأنه عنده شارع تاني، يعني أنت قاعد مع أسرتك، أنا وأبوي وأمي قاعدين، أنا جيت هنا صغير، فبقدر بقدم بشارع تاني ما إلا شارع ناس أمي ده، خلاص بحق بتاع الأطفال ده، خلاص. تاني في قبيل إحنا قلنا في سؤال تاني مهم بالنسبة لنا لما الشمل جاوبناه بتاع الاندريج ده جاوبناه. الحاجة التانية المهمة اللي قلنا حنجا أوكي. So I hear that they're saying, oh, you have to be doing something, a volunteer work or being working or being in education. So if I've been in education myself, is that going to be, I'm not working, I'm in the education system. Is that being counted as, or it have to be combined?
Again, until the new rules are published as part of the immigration rules, as a statutory document, after they publish the change of the immigration rules, we don't know what criteria. But they will basically create a different category of refugees. And it will be like what they're talking about, the concept of deserved settlement. You have to deserve it, right? By how do you deserve it? Well, you work, you're a good taxpayer, or you study, or you have academic achievements, or something else. Maybe you set up your own business. But until these criteria are ironed out and set in the rules, we don't know.
قال يا أخي لحد هسه لأنه الصناديق دي أو الكريتيريا دي أو المتطلبات دي أو الخصائص دي ما تخطت، لكن قال 100% حيطلعوا للناس يقولوا دي المجموعة كده، دي المجموعة الشغالين، لو الناس الشغالين بيعملوا كده قال حيخط لهم أي زول قوانينهم. لكن قال لحد الآن هسه ما الحاجة دي ما مخطوطة، لكن حيقسموا الناس لمجموعات، انت ومجموعتك. بعد ديتا بتكون شايف المجموعات قدامك، وتش انه انا شايفه حاجه كويسه، مجموعات قاعده قدامك. بعد ديتا ممكن تدور نفسك تكون في اي مجموعه. So what I said is even though if when they put all these criteria or all those like boxes, you still got the choice to choose where I could go. I could be a businessman, I could be I study. So
of course they are trying to, you see, what they are trying to present to the public and the parliament. It's like this picture that generally refugees are sitting on their hands and they're not working, which is false.
الحاجة الدارين قال يعكسوها للناس إنه يا أخي المهاجرين دي الناس قاعدين عاطلين وما بيشتغلوا. دي الحاجة كلها الدارين يعكسوها للناس.
And somehow because of the problem with the bots and people coming illegally and they cannot stop them, they're trying to create this image of a refugee sitting not working that needs to be punished.
قال لأنه هم ما قادرين يوقفوا دخولهم ده، فقال دارين يعملوا الصورة السيئة عن اللاجئين ديل ودارين يعاقبوهم. يعني الكلام اللي بيعملوا فوقه ده عقاب بالنسبة للاجئين.
And this should be like a deterrent for people who are thinking of coming to the UK illegally. They will have to see this, it's not a soft touch anymore. It's not going to be very difficult. You can't get citizenship in 6 years. You can't get permanent residence. You have to work hard, and it's going to maybe take you, depending on how you arrived, you may never get citizenship in the first place, or it's going to take you maybe 15 or 20 or even longer years. This is a deterrent, right? Because the truth is that because of the setup of this country, because of the constitutional setup of this country, and because of the difference between England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland, and the different local authorities and organizations, and because of the way that the UK government is set up as a piecemeal various departments, and they do not liaise with each other, right? Normally, the UK is considered to be it's like a benign mess, right? Where once you are in, if you behave, if you don't commit crime, you don't drive illegally without the right, you don't do anything, you don't steal, you cannot be apprehended easily. Illegal work also is a problem, but they don't have resources. So once you are in the country, the government has very, very little resources and powers to just catch you, right? They cannot just stop everybody. They cannot racially profile, right? So that's why this is such a big attraction, for people come in and they can just get lost somewhere in London or Birmingham or in Nottingham, and that's it. And then they work illegally, right?
And then that's the problem.
And then they send money back home. So that's the reality of it, right? It's true also that lots of people who come illegally, they are also economic migrants. Not all of them are genuine refugees.
Yeah, right.
That's true, right? But the problem, I think this problem can be tackled by faster and more efficient processing of claims.
Right? And then more opportunities.
And, rather than, the problem is that people are coming because they know that once they put the claim, it can take years and years for them to get processed, which is the main problem, because this is the main attraction, I think. Yeah. If they had a good, efficient, fast department, and they would quickly see, okay, these are the claims coming in, these are the people who came by bots, for example, or by lorries, and see, well, for out of these are genuine, and the rest of them, we think that these are economic migrants, and they reject them very quickly, right? So there is no public expenditure on hotels and, subsidizing, food, etc., The other option is that once the refugees are here, it's very difficult to return them back home. How do you return somebody to countries like Somalia or Sudan, where there is a war?
Yeah, Sudan is war everywhere.
So that's a difficulty as well.
So okay, main thing for them, how you can bring your wife. What is your advice as a lawyer? What route they should take? They should just go work.
You have to work. And you have to, at the moment, you have to make 29,000 per year. You cannot apply anymore for free, like you used to be able to. Free application for family reunion, and that's it. So usually, under the family reunion, you needed to show that, for example, it was your wife before you claimed asylum, before you came to this country, or these were your children right? And then they would almost automatically, as long as they are happy and that you have established by evidence that this is your actual wife, which is called pre-flight family, right? They would give you a family reunion. So they would give you a visa and they would join you. The visa would be until the end of your visa if you are on a limited leave to remain as a refugee, and then you would settle together. At the moment, you have to go to work, and you have to basically, your spouse has to meet the same requirements as other partners, spouses, unmarried partners, fiancé, under the immigration rules. So the main thing is that financial requirement, English language requirement, then you'll need to show that you have sufficient accommodation in the UK, and it's a genuine relationship. So these are the main requirements. Yeah.
So, okay.
You also do, depending on the country of application, you also have to do the tuberculosis test.
Okay.
Which is usual stuff. Yeah.
ياهو الكلام الطبيعي ده إنه الزول يشتغل مرتبه يكون 29,000. الحاجات اللي هم طالبينها يكون عندك بيت، بعدين تجيب مرتك، بعدين تعمل شغل مع بعض اللي هو الطريق الرسمي ده. لكن في حاجة أنا داير أسأل منها مهمة، ودي حتفيد كتير من الناس. So you see, like the majority of us, we married but our wives they don't contribute. What do you think that's going to affect them in the future? What your thought on that?
No, the wife does not have to work if you are working, right?
Okay.
So normally what would happen under the Appendix FM, say you're bringing your family member, your wife from Sudan, for example, right? So they would come and they would get 2 years and 9 months as a visa. Right? Next time when she applies for extension, you will need to show, you need to meet the financial requirement again. So you have 29,000 income first time, then 29 second time, and then when she settles, usually after 5 years, at least for now, 5 years, then 29,000 again. So if you have to be in work at least for those periods of time just before the application. Right?
But with this new rule, the new law that if you're not contributing to the insurance, you not be able to.
Well, if you work, you will contribute automatically. You have no choice.
No, I mean, me and my partner. So say for example, I'm working, doing my thing. With those new rules that they're going to introduce, and the wife should just stay in the house. Do you think she'll get affected with that?
No.
Or as long as one working full time?
One is working. Only one of you has to be in a position to demonstrate income of 29,000. It doesn't matter. If your wife is not working, it's your choice. It's not only a cultural choice, you know. In Britain as well, this is a situation for many couples as well. It doesn't matter. It depends on the family circumstances.
كويس، دي حاجة كويسة. قال إنه إذا واحد شغال.
It's not like a Soviet collective farm where every single person has to work, you know. You know.
طيب دي حاجة كويسة. أنا ذاتي كنت فاهمها خطأ، إنه لو الراجل شغال في البيت ودخله 29,000 والحاجات دي بيجي تلاقي إقامتها عادي، وبياخدوا الإنكم ده از إنه الاثنين يعني ما يحتاج يشتغلوا هم الاثنين. وفي بريطانيا ما قاعدين يلزموا الحياة بالناس دي، ودي حاجة كويسة إنها توضح لي أنا في عقلي عشان برضه أقدر أرد بالي كتير من الأسئلة. طيب إنتوا رأيكم شنو؟ ناخد أسئلة من الناس تحت ولا هل في أسئلة تانية في الموضوع ده؟ زول دقيقة أنا ريحني بإنه الموضوع ده ما الأندريات ما قالوا لسه 29,000 في السنة. أنا جبت زوجتي 2023 بعد ما دخلت البلد أخذت دائمة، هل ممكن أقدم على الجنسية الآن؟ So this guy he said he brought his wife in 2023 and then she got indefinite leave to remain. Do you think she can apply for citizenship?
Yes, because she came on the family reunion, right?
قال لأنها جات عن طريق الفاميلي reunion.
Now, if she came legally on the family reunion, it doesn't matter, you know, because this illegal entry, good character provision does not apply to her.
اوكي، قال لك هي ممكن تقدم لانه الموضوع بتاع الدخول الغير شرعي ده ما بي. اشرح للناس عن قوانين الجنسيه يا زهير، ما تكلم عنها في البدايه. هو ما تتكلم لنا عن السودان. اختنا زول الله يرضى عليك، اختانا يا زول الله يرضى عليك. اتكلم عن السودان كيف انت مريض ولا شنو؟ I'm 10% out. طيب اذا دخلت بطريقه غير شرعيه وتدرس في الجامعه يا اخواننا ما تشوفوا لنا نازله زي الناس ولا خلوه يتكلم ولا. So what is your best advice for those newcomers, those refugees with those everyday changing rules? What do you advise them? Just give them a piece of advice.
Well, at the moment the rules are the same. right? Except for the family reunion. Family reunion program has been suspended. People who are claiming asylum and waiting for decisions, right? So that's one category of people. So once you are granted your refugee status, still the old rules apply. So if you have your refugee status granted, then you can still bring your family members. However, not under family reunion program, but under Appendix FM of the immigration rules, where you have to meet the financial requirement. The best advice, well, do not claim benefits and work, set up business, and use all the freedoms which are there in this country to be entrepreneurial, to make money, set up businesses, import, export, hire people, be economically active, and pay your taxes. Right? That's the best advice that any lawyer can give you.
الكلام ده واضح.
Yeah, be compliant with the law. Do not, break the rules. And then you'll be rewarded in the end by your permanent residence and then citizenship, right?
That's great. That's a good advice. أسمعوا كلامه ده يا أخوانا. طيب, one of the guys here, he said if he's a full-time student and he can't meet the 29 criteria of working, how can he bring his wife?
He cannot.
قال لك ما بتقدر يا
he cannot.
محمود, ما بتقدر قال لك لو جيت سياحة وكسرتها.
Because if he is a refugee, right, he is entitled to all the benefits, free education. He can work as well, part-time and full-time. It's possible to work full-time and study as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be honest, in this country, studying is not that
it's like only 2 days and a half.
It's not that onerous,
Mm-hmm.
The full-time study is considered to be 20 hours a week. Come on, you can fit 3 jobs into that, right? And study, Obviously, you have to be proactive. You have to educate yourself, But now with smart gadgets and access to all libraries in the world from your bed, you can study if you really want to, right? So for this person, he has to find a job or set up a business.
He got a business. Yeah. I know him personally. He got a business.
I know lots of people who have, for example, they drive a taxi, and then they have another business, and then they have another job, and then in this way they have multiple streams of income. Yep. And they can afford to bring their wife, and have big families, So it's all up to you, basically.
Mm-hmm. طيب يا اخواننا, في أسئلة تانية أنا داير أخذ. What about those who have just entered the UK?
Well, the ones who have just entered the UK, who are, for example, claiming asylum,
mm-hmm.
Well, they just have to wait until the claims are processed. Once they're granted refugee status, at the moment, they will be granted 5 years status. And then if they want to have a family reunion with another pre-flight family member, they have to work, right? They have to meet the financial threshold.
اشتغلوا بس يا شباب, والله يزول ده كلامه واضح, ما تلفوا وتدوروا في الكلام, شغل بس. البلد دي داير زول يشتغل, دايرين زول يشتغل, ما ترقدوا ساكت. So one of the guys, he said he came through a tour visa.
Mm-hmm.
Tourist visa.
Tourist visa. Ah.
Yeah, the tourist visa. And then he claimed asylum. Is that illegal entry?
No.
قال لك لا, ما illegal entry.
As long as you can show, usually they cannot even look at the legal entry because you entered legally, right?
أنا كنت دخلت بطريقة legal.
So that you'll be fine. Obviously, as a part of your asylum claim, you have to explain why you came on a tourist visa and then you waited. But lots of people do that because circumstances change.
Okay, one of my friends here discovered. He said, you see the council tax and then the parking ticket. For how long they're going to be in your case?
Now, parking ticket does not matter because it's not a criminal offense. It's nothing to do with anything, right? Parking tickets do not even need to be declared, right? What needs to be declared when you apply for either permanent residence or your naturalization as a British citizen, it's all your road traffic offenses like red lights, your penalties, and obviously criminal offenses, right? Criminal offenses, whatever it is, you must declare no matter how long you've had this criminal offense for, how long you committed the offense. It must go on the application form, always.
So this guy, he said he did his interview on the last 3 months,
yeah,
and they did not give him any answer.
Yeah.
Is there any way he can contact the Home Office?
Well, you have a caseworker.
عندك قال لك caseworker?
Usually what happens that, I don't know how well you did your asylum application and whether you followed all the rules. For example, whether you submitted your preliminary information questionnaire to the Home Office, whether you had your substantive interview or not. But say you followed all those procedures, you will have a contact for your caseworker, right? So you can always write to the caseworker or to the relevant team. The details can be found online as well. Just Google it. You'll see asylum processing teams in the UK, contact details, email addresses. And you will see a list of all the addresses, and you just keep writing there, right? But that's one of the issues that I mentioned before. The reason why the system for processing asylum is clogged up is because of inefficiency and long processing times, and maybe quality and training of the processing officers who are dealing with asylum claims. Because some asylum claims are quick, some of them can take years to go through, some of them are refused for no reason, and some of them granted for no reason as well. I've seen examples where people were granted refugee status without an interview even, right? So, it's a gamble. But obviously, if your claim is genuine and you're a genuine refugee, you have to fight for your right, to remain in the country and be safe. Be safe from, from all the dangers and risks that you're faced with in your home country where you fled from.
So, Tigo, that guy, he said, those new rules, are they going to be applied for the people that they already settled here, or they can appeal it if that happens?
For people who are already settled as refugees, those new rules will not apply, right? They will not retrospectively or reopen all the cases, right? Once they have written the rules and they had a long consultation, then they'll introduce the rules, and then we'll see all the details. But people who are already settled, they shouldn't worry about it. The only issue for the settled people, who already refugee settled people, right, they have to watch out when they apply for citizenship, because they will look at the circumstances of your entry in the UK, whether you entered illegally. Even if you entered illegally, it's still okay, as long as you did not wait for whatever period of time, and they will look into what happened through your journey from your country of origin before you claimed asylum. So, for example, it will be probably, I think, a problem for many people who have traveled through Europe, so they will have to explain why they didn't claim asylum through, in France or Italy or in Greece, etc.
And how long they stayed there.
Exactly.
So there is another question, is very important.
Yeah.
Refugees, when they came here, some of them they've got children. If I'm a refugee and I've got a son born here, how can I register him with the Home Office?
Right. Now, so usually what happens that you have to make an application. So say you're a refugee on a limited leave to remain as a refugee, and you have a child born, right? So you may wish to just wait until you apply for settlement yourself.
That's what I did back then.
And then you will add your child to your application, and the child will be granted settlement together with you, right?
Some of them, they want to travel to France.
Well, in this case, you will need to apply for a family reunion, right? They recently changed it, and there is a form called FLR HRO application, right? At the moment, you can make an application, and then the child will be granted leave alongside with your leave for the same duration as your leave.
I was looking for it yesterday and I couldn't find it. I found it on the family reunion, but I couldn't find exactly which one. I knew that it's in a family reunion, but exactly
they've changed it now.
What it's called again?
It's called Further Leave to Remain, HRO.
Further Leave to Remain?
HRO. Yeah.
HRO,
right. But obviously, for children who are born here as well, once you are settled, as soon as you're settled, they can register as British citizens right away without waiting for anything, right? Because as long as one parent is settled and the child was born in the UK, the child is entitled to register as a British citizen. That's it. And lots of people do that, right? Unless you really need to travel and apply for a travel document for your child. And even then, you see, there is a technical issue of getting a travel document for a child who was born here, because technically the child is not a refugee. Right?
Yep, and they don't give him. So another question here. Many people, they've got humanitarian protection.
Yes.
And then they can't apply for a travel document.
That's right.
And then they ask them to go to the embassy. And then when they go there, the embassy will be like, we can get you a passport, no problem. And then they don't want that. So, and then when they ask when they asked the embassy to give them a written statement of not giving them a passport, which is not fact. So they just been held like that. They don't have a travel document. They can't get no, they can't get that, but some of them mistakenly they've changed them age. So how can they tackle this issue?
Now, the technically only refugees are entitled to a refugee travel document. This is an issue, right? Because people with humanitarian protection, they are not entitled. So you have three types of travel documents. You have stateless travel document for people who are stateless.
Yep.
You have your refugee travel document, and you also have the certificate of travel, right? Now, certificate of travel is difficult to get, and for humanitarian protection, those who have humanitarian protection, they have to prove that they cannot get the national passport, right? But obviously, if they already claimed humanitarian protection from that country, why would they apply for a passport to that country that represents danger for them, right? So to tackle this issue is difficult, and you just need to settle as soon as possible. Right? Once you're settled, then it's easier. Right? Before you're settled, it's hard. Right?
So before you settle, you mean to get an indefinite leave to remain, or you mean
indefinite leave to remain?
And then you can apply.
And then you can apply. Right?
الموضوع ده قال عشان يتحل إلا بعد الإقامة الدائمة. سهل بالسهل كده ما بيتحل. You can read that. As a new arrival, I claimed university credit for few months till I get a job. Will it affect me?
Well, at the moment it won't affect you because there are no new rules, right? So it's okay for you. So if you are a refugee with a granted refugee status, you are entitled to claim universal credit if you want to. It will not affect you, for now at least, right? Until we see the new rules. The new rules are unlikely to apply to people who already have asylum granted. But for new arrivals, after the new legislation comes through and we have the new rules, this will be an issue. And then they will look into these different categories. It depends, because universal credit is designed for people who are genuinely seeking employment and to help them to find a job. So this in itself does not represent anything bad for a refugee, because it's actually not easy now to claim universal credit. You have to comply with all the requirements, you have to go for interviews, you have to provide evidence that you are actively seeking work, all of that. So it's hard. So, but the answer is no, it will not affect you for now.
طيب هل في أسئلة تانية؟ I was granted humanitarian protection and appealed my right to asylum.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, you're entitled to that. If you believe that you are entitled to asylum rather than humanitarian protection, that's fine. You can appeal the decision, but you have to wait until you get a determination from the tribunal on that.
الزول بيسأل من كيف تقدم للإقامة الدائمة. ممكن تحجز معي مواعيد أو ممكن تراسلني في الخاص، أنا ممكن أساعدك في الحاجة دي. طيب للناس اللي قدمت لما الشغل اتأخرت لفترة طويلة. So you can read that. Will the produce take long time for me, mother of 3, daughter and one. Will the process take long time for me as the mother of 3 daughter? And I think she meant if she got children and then she applied for asylum.
Well, it depends. You know, your daughters. If you are still waiting for your decision on asylum claim, your daughters are your dependents on the asylum claim. How long it's gonna take, who knows?
Nobody knows.
No, nobody knows. It depends. If you want to be proactive, you can write to the relevant team, your caseworker, asking them that, you know, why you want to be in front of the queue, why it is important for them to make a decision as soon as possible, etc.
I have written I was granted him and I was granted. يا اخوانا هل في الأسئلة دي I was granted humanitarian protection أنا خلاص ردوا لك الكلام ده. تعرف شنو؟ I have residence for 5 years. Can I apply for a refugee passport? Depends on على حسب إقامتك نوعها شنو. Humanitarian protection.
If you have a refugee status and you've been granted refugee status, you can apply for a travel document right away. It's fine.
قال لك إذا لو ادوك الريفيجي ممكن تقدم للترافل دوكمنت ثاني. Another issues. When did they can change the name after the is it preferable when they apply for the indefinite leave to remain or when they apply for the passport?
It's better if you claim you get your permanent residence and then you change your name, because remember your case is based on all your details provided as part of your asylum. Yeah, so you are known to the Home Office as a person who was an asylum claim initially. So if you try to do it now, it can be messy, right? So get your settled status and then you can change your name. You're entitled to change your name as many times as you want. It's up to you. But it's better to settle first of all.
قال أفضل بعد ما تقدم للإقامة الدائمة.
My husband I claim asylum, but my husband granted discretionary leave. Okay, so discretionary leave is granted to people who have been refused asylum or humanitarian protection, but for some reason, for example, some human rights consideration, family life, or any articles of the European Convention of Human Rights are engaged, then they grant you discretionary leave, right? So usually discretionary leave is granted at the moment for 2.5 years, and you have to extend it 3 times until you get to 10 years, right? And then you settle. These are the new rules. It used to be 6 years.
So for the people that got discretionary leave to remain, they have to wait 10 years.
Yeah, they have to apply. So discretionary leave to remain usually is granted for 2.5 years. You will then have to apply again 1 more time, and then again 2 more times until you get to 10 years, and then you settle.
قال بتقدم لها 4 مرات. المرة الأولى 2.5، ثاني 2.5، ثاني 2.5، ثاني 2.5، لما تتم 10 سنة بعد ذاك ممكن تعمل settlement، بتجددها كل 2.5 سنين. تاني في أسئلة. And how about people already been granted for indefinite is gonna be able to apply for citizenship?
Yes, you can apply for citizenship at any time, but remember they are now looking into the way you entered the UK. So if you entered the UK legally, you know you have protections and defenses as a refugee, right? As long as you claimed asylum as soon as it was reasonably possible for you to do that, and they will look into whether you traveled through a safe country, and you need to have an explanation why you didn't claim asylum there. Well, it depends on your status. If you have a child born here, it depends on your own status, right? If you have settlement already, the child is automatically British. If you are a refugee, the child is technically entitled to the same leave as you, and then settle with you when you apply for your indefinite leave to remain. So the child is technically a citizen of the country of your nationality through the fact of connection with the parent. So for example, somebody who is from Sudan, they have a child born here, you're not settled here yet when the child is born, so the child is technically Sudanese under the Sudanese law. Yeah.
طب تاني يا اخواننا في اي اسئله لانه خلاص قربنا. Do you have account in TikTok?
No, me personally no. Yeah, you do.
So you do you want to show them your address and do you want to give them your contact details? اي زول محتاج
So you basically you go to Google and you type my name, you go to Alexander Boyd LLB, and you will see my website. Yeah, my website is
ده محامي ده محامي.
Alexander Boyd Solicitors, AB Immigration Law.
Put it there and then I'll flip the camera and then you can show them. They can take a screenshot of it.
Yeah, so this is the website you go to. Yeah, so this is
hold it.
Oh, okay.
And then
So this is the website. You can see it's AB Immigration Law.
So there.
Yeah. AB Immigration Law. And then that's the URL. You can see abimmigration.co.uk. Yeah, and then again, you can Google me as well. You can just type in immigration lawyer Scotland or UK. You will find me. I am at the very top. Okay.
قال هو قاعد في التوب ها؟ قاعد في التوب في التوب سيرش. فغيتوا يا اخواننا لو عندكم اي حاجات دارين تملوها دارين تسووها، الزول ده ما قصر معانا، عمل لنا كم لايف، ممكن تقدموا معاه
Now, if you apply for settlement 1 year ago as a refugee and you didn't get a decision, the new rules will not affect you, but there could be a problem why you're waiting for such a long time, because a refugee settlement usually takes a couple of days or weeks at the moment. It should not take a year, right? It could be because you have some outstanding criminal charges, or there was a criminal offense, or...
This guy said he's going to contact you soon.
Okay, no problem. It takes time
because
I am from Syria. Okay, well, with the Syria, it is a problem now because they are looking into whether it is safe
for you to return home.
You know, that's the consequences of the regime change in Syria, right?
خلاص يا اخوانا. انا شايف انه I'm Malaysian. You want to read that?
Yeah, Malaysian, and with my daughter. Well, it depends on your circumstances. All the rules are the same for people from all countries and all nationalities. So it doesn't really matter whether you're from Malaysia or not. You apply for whatever you're eligible for. Certificate of travel. Yeah, you can apply for certificate of travel. It's not a problem. But this is when you have to show why you need to travel. You need to explain. The guidance is if you type into Google application for certificate of travel, you'll see all the criteria how to qualify for that.
But can you help him to
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, of course.
قال بيعمل كده. هل جنسية الزوجة تدعم الحصول على جنسية؟
So normally you would contact me. I will send you a list of all the documents and information that I need, and then I can file the application for a certificate of travel for you.
خلاص يا اخوانا. الناس الجديد شنو يعني؟ ما اتكلم عنه، قال دي كلها عبارة عن proposal، ما في حاجة اتأكدت لحد هسه. خلاص يا اخوانا. طيب يا شباب، شكرا لكم. What is the status of a children born in the UK؟ قبل وراك الكلام ده جاوب لكم.
Well, it depends on your status, as I said. You know, if you are settled already when children are born, they are automatically British.
I'm thinking about issue of choosing a date of birth after residency. I have a proof. I'm thinking of what?
Date of birth?
I'm talking about the issue of choosing a date of birth after residency. I have proof. So he wants to change his date of birth.
Well, you really can't change your date of birth. Why would you do that? You know, how can you do it? You either have one date of birth or the other, you know, so you can't really change it unless, well, you provide a birth certificate which is different from the previous one that you had, or I don't know.
Is there any chance for being a father of a British citizen? Give me my birth date. It is not mine. They give him a birth date is not his, and he have a proof to change that.
If the Home Office made a mistake, you have to contact the Home Office. For example, you can if you see the wrong date of birth in your e-visa account, you can write to them and explain why it's a wrong date of birth, and they will correct the mistake. If you have evidence, you can send it to the Home Office and they will change it.
قال إذا أنت عندك evidence ممكن ترسل الهوم اوفيس والهوم اوفيس بغيرها. What is the يا إخواننا والله خلاص. What is the fate of what?
Syrians who have applied for ILR, should we wait for? Yes, sure. You can just you need to wait. You have no other option. If you applied for ILR and wait for a decision, so first of all, you should not leave the country. You should wait until the decision is made.
خلاص يا اخوانا، شكرا لكم كتير وشكرا لوجودكم معانا. نشوف تاني يوم سيشن تاني نحدد أسئلة معينة.
Something in the US, UK.
مروة she said what is the UK لو عايز أعيش في US here. So if she is a citizen, a British citizen, and she want to go and live in the US.
Well, you have to apply for a specific category of United States visa that you are eligible for. As a UK citizen, you can apply to travel there as a visitor. You have to apply for ESTA, and then you'll be granted ESTA, and you can travel to the United States. Usually ESTA is issued for 2 years. However, if you want to emigrate from the UK and immigrate to the United States, you have to meet the relevant requirements of the United States immigration policies and rules. So it depends whether you have a family there, or if you're applying for a gold visa, or you have 5 million, you want to buy a Trump visa, 5 million golden Trump visa. So I don't know. It depends on your circumstances.
Does the citizenship exam change to B1?
Now they're talking about changing it to B. At the moment, it's B1, right?
They want to change it to A level, A1.
They want to change it to B2. Yeah, they're talking about it. It's not done yet.
So this guy, he said his father my father name has 2 extra letter. Will that cause a problem when I apply to university?
No, your father is not relevant to your application when you apply for it. It doesn't matter. But if your father has mistaken his name and his documents, he has to contact either his national authorities, the consulate, to change, or if it's done in the UK, if it's a British passport, then he has to make amendments, usually by statutory declaration to amend the mistake, or deed poll to make a change in his name. Usually, if you were naturalized, you have to make those changes in the naturalization certificate first of all.
No, he mean university.
Well, university is not relevant. How is his father relevant to his application? It's your name that is on an application, not your father's.
خلاص يا اخوانا، الساعة 1 انا ما اقدر اشيل من الزول ده زمنه كافي.
Satisfy madam.
So اكتب سؤالك بالعربي يا برهوم، اكتبه تاني. I think he just translated.
Chance of being older. What? Being older, what?
Is there any chance for being older father for a British citizen? So if he's old, he can get a British citizen?
Well, it doesn't matter on your.
ما عنده علاقة قال بعمرك.
Your age is not relevant, so you can always apply for citizenship by naturalization or registration. For adults, it's only naturalization. If you're over 18, it's only naturalization.
هل القرارات دي تجيب مدام ولا لا؟
The only thing is that the
برضو
difference
كلامه
is.
مفهوم بالعربي مفهوم.
If
he said this new rule can you bring your wife?
Under the new rules.
Yeah,
but at the moment,
instead of family reunion. So he's saying if he's a British, can he bring his father, old father?
No.
قال لك لا.
Now it's very, very difficult. There is adult dependent relative rules, but they're very, very hard to meet all the conditions of the rules. It's based on basically disability and incapacity of your adult dependent relative, your parent, and absence of any medical services or health system in the country of origin, and your inability to pay for it privately. So it's very, very difficult.
مريم يلا تكلمي. سؤالك. Give question.
Yes, hello. Yeah, as my asylum was refused and then my appeal refused, so they asked me to appeal to the higher court within 14 days, which I was not able to do because of lack of a lawyer. So what do I do next?
Well,
now the 14 days has elapsed.
Now, the only option you have is to make further submissions to the Home Office, because if you didn't apply to the upper tribunal, this is understand what happened, and the time has gone, it's not a good explanation you didn't apply just because you didn't have a lawyer. So you can remain in the UK and then submit further submissions to the Home Office, but only if you have evidence that the circumstances have changed. You have sufficient, significant evidence of change of circumstances. For the further submissions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 14 days.
You need to
because now the 14 days has elapsed. That's where I'm worried about now.
Yeah. 14 days was relevant only if you were trying to make an application to the upper tribunal or the first-tier tribunal. So what happens procedurally is that once you lose your first-tier tribunal asylum claim, right? You then have an option to make an application to the first-tier tribunal for permission to apply to the upper tribunal. Right? So that's usually within 14 days. So if this didn't happen, you can still make an application out of time and explain why it happened. So that's one option. Right?
Okay.
And the first-tier tribunal will consider whether your explanation is reasonable and sufficient to satisfy them. Right? And then if they are satisfied, then they will
Yes.
make a decision whether to allow you to proceed to the upper tribunal or not. If this does not happen, you can then make further submissions to the Home Office.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. But do you have like a contact when if somebody want to contact you like for help, like for you now, if like I want you to review my case, can you do that for me?
Yes, you can contact me via the website. It's called abimmigrationlaw.co.uk.
I will show him again. You take a screenshot of it. Okay.
Now you can see here there is a button to schedule a consultation. They're all over the place, and there are relevant packages as well that you can purchase. But in your case, I would book a consultation first of all on the website, and then you'll be able to see me in office or online via Zoom, and then we will look at your case and see what happened and why you were late, why you lost your asylum claim, etc.
خلاص يا اخوانا، يلا مع السلامة. انا بقفل بعد ده لانه خلاص